It almost feels unreal. Europe has truly been roasted this time. This summer, the continent experienced three bizarre, unbelievable events that left the whole world confused. First was the historic heat. Spain hit 46 degrees Celsius, Portugal surged to 47 degrees Celsius, and roads in Italy literally turned into outdoor griddles. Even the iron-built Eiffel Tower reportedly bent slightly under the extreme temperatures, approaching levels you'd expect in China's flaming mountains. Second, despite this life-threatening heat, only 3% of German households have air conditioning, and the UK isn't much better with just 5%. Imagine that, the birthplace of the Industrial Revolution, and most homes don't even have AC. Third, and most shocking, it's not that Europeans don't want AC, many simply can't afford it. In Germany, 100 kilowatt-hours of electricity costs over 300 renminbi, meaning running an AC for a month can cost more than 2,000 renminbi, roughly half a month's rent. So families choose to endure the heat, because cooling is a luxury. Meanwhile, on the other side of the planet, 1.4 billion Chinese people are comfortably enjoying air conditioning, scrolling videos, watching shows, and playing games. Data shows that 60% of Chinese households now have AC, even in many rural areas. Electricity costs are low, about 0 renminbi and 50 cents per kilowatt-hour, meaning 100 kilowatt-hours cost less than 60 renminbi. The contrast couldn't be more dramatic. Europe has been industrialized for over 200 years, so how did it end up unable to cool itself? And China, invaded and impoverished just a century ago, has become the world's most powerful electricity superpower. To understand this, we need to look at the numbers. In Europe's fragmented system, the EU's 27 countries each operate independent, often privatized grids. Moving electricity between countries requires negotiations, approvals, and stakeholder agreements. By the time decisions are made, the moment has passed. The US model is even more problematic. In 2021, Texas suffered a catastrophic blackout during -22 degrees Celsius weather, leaving 4 million people without power, and causing over 500 deaths, while neighboring states had electricity they couldn't deliver due to unconnected grids. In 2022, the Russia-Ukraine conflict exposed Europe's heavy reliance on Russian natural gas, forced to buy expensive LNG from the US at triple the cost. And after shutting down nuclear plants, Germany relied on weather-dependent wind and solar, falling back to coal when the wind stopped and the sun disappeared. Electricity became even more expensive. China, however, made a different choice. In 2002, China established the state grid to build a unified national power system. Energy resources are unevenly distributed: coal in the northwest, hydropower in the southwest, wind and solar in the west, while 70% of demand is in the east. Without long-distance transmission, China would waste enormous clean energy potential while forcing the east to burn coal. But traditional transmission lines lose 15% of power over 1,000 kilometers, making long-distance delivery nearly impossible. The breakthrough came with ultra-high voltage technology. By boosting voltage above 1 million volts, China enabled electricity to travel thousands of kilometers with less than 3% loss. While the US, Japan, and the Soviet Union all failed to commercialize UHV, China succeeded by developing ultra-thin insulating materials and solving critical engineering challenges. But mastering the technology wasn't enough. China coordinated multiple provinces and built 42 UHV lines in under 20 years, something impossible in fragmented Western systems. In the West, electricity is treated as a commodity. In China, electricity infrastructure is viewed as the foundation of development. That philosophy transformed China. Today, every corner of the country, mountains, deserts, isolated villages, has been electrified, even if it takes a century to recoup the cost. Because without electricity, modernization is impossible. Now, what has China gained from this? First, industrial strength. China produces 96% of the world's critical industrial metals, not because it has more mines, but because electricity is cheap enough to sustain energy-intensive refining. Second, China powers high-tech infrastructure that other countries can't afford. For example, Beijing SGF-22 supersonic wind tunnel consumes 5.41 million kilowatt-hours in a single test, equivalent to a medium-sized city's daily electricity use. Only China can afford to build and operate it. Third, in the age of AI, China holds a massive advantage. Training GPT-4 requires around 240 million kilowatt-hours. While global tech leaders worry about power shortages, China has the capacity to support large-scale AI development, with nearly 40% of its electricity already coming from clean sources. China is also pushing beyond national borders. In 2015, China proposed the Global Energy Interconnection, a worldwide UHV grid connecting continents, transmitting solar power from the Sahara to Europe and wind power from the Arctic to equatorial regions. After a decade, China has already built or invested in backbone energy networks in 11 countries, including Africa's largest hydropower plant and South America's highest altitude solar farm. As more regions adopt Chinese grid standards, China becomes the rulemaker of the future global energy system, just as the US shaped the modern internet. So back to the original question, why can Europeans sleep in the heat while China runs its air conditioners effortlessly? The answer is clear. Europe hasn't become poor. Their energy system has fallen behind. As electricity shifts from decentralized networks to unified grids, from fossil fuels to clean energy, and from fragmented standards to global integration, the game has changed. This summer's extreme heat made one thing undeniable. Whoever controls the production, transmission, and distribution of electricity controls the future. And China has already shown the world its answer.